Hello, everyone. I am Misha, aka Pieces of Mish. So, thank you for joining me for today's practice today. Tonight's practice is going to be a grounded flow, a complete floor practice for strength and balance. So, we're going to build some heat, find some balance through practicing mindful movements here together. So we will be on the floor. This is going to be a complete floor practice. So if you do have any like wrist injuries, arm injuries, I would not suggest this practice for you because we will be on our hands and knees a lot. And I would not suggest this practice for anyone who is expecting because we will be laying on our bellies at some point during today's practice. So please make sure you read the disclaimer in the description box. And everything that I say is a suggestion. So please listen to your body before you listen to me. And with that being said, we're just going to jump right into it. Not too much talking today. So we're going to start today's practice in a child's pose. So let's move on to our mats to get prepared to get into today's practice. So also feel free to, have your water with you, tea or whatever you're drinking, and also a blanket because we will be in our hands and knees a lot, so you may need a blanket for some extra support, but I will show you when that time comes in for that. Okay? So we will be starting today's practice in child's pose. So to get to our child's pose, if you've never done child's pose before, we're going to get onto our mat in all fours. And then we're going to bring our big toes together to touch. Knees as wide as the mat or wider, however much space we need to fit our bodies. And we'll extend our hands out in front of us. We'll take an inhale together. And on the exhale, let's all sink back, letting our bum reach towards our heels, finding our child's pose, letting our forehead rest on the mat. So once you get to your child's pose, we'll take a minute to check in with our bodies and notice how our bodies are on the mat. Finding a comfortable child's pose that works for us, that works for your body. And then once you get into your child's pose, we're going to invite some deep breathing into our practice. So inhaling through your nose, letting that air fill up your belly, and then exhaling out through your nose or your mouth, allowing your stomach to contract like your belly button is reaching your spine. So on your inhale, you're inhaling through your nose, allowing your chest and your stomach to fill with air. And on your exhale, you're releasing it all. And I invite you to find some slow, deep breaths according to your own breath. So inhaling, filling up your belly, and on your exhale, letting it all out. And continue to find that deep breath, inhaling and exhaling. Now bringing your breath to your regular breathing cycle. So just finding a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose or your mouth. I invite you to bring your awareness to your forehead, on the ground, on the mat. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, noticing any sensations that may show up for you as your forehead rests on the mat beneath you. And as you're breathing, noticing if you're holding any tension in that space between your eyebrows. And if on the exhale, you can soften, relaxing your forehead, relaxing your eyebrows and your face. Continuing to inhale and exhale. I invite you to bring your awareness down to your shoulders and noticing if you might be crunching in your shoulders. And if on your exhale, you can invite some space between your ears and your shoulders. Continuing to inhale and exhale. I invite you to bring your awareness down to your heart space. And noticing any sensations that may be showing up for you in that area. Finding your inhale and your exhale. And as you're breathing, just noticing. And when you're ready, we're going to take the palms of our hands and bring them together to touch, still in our child's pose. And we'll bring our palms together to touch in a prayer pose. And we'll inhale our hands up, allowing our thumbs to rest on the crown of our head, allowing our prayer pose, our prayer hands to meet our crown. And I invite you to set an intention for our practice today. Today's practice is a grounded flow, so we're going to be exploring some strengthening and some balance. So setting your intention for what you'd like to get out of your practice today. And that intention can look like whatever you want it to look like. Since we're working on balance and strengthening, you can say I am balanced. Whatever feels good for you, I invite you to set that intention now. And when you feel complete in setting your intention, we'll take an inhale together. And on the exhale, we'll drop our hands back down to rest on the ground in our child's pose. And we're going to prepare to bring movement into our practice. So finding your inhale and your exhale. On your next inhale, we're going to push up into our tabletop. And once you find your tabletop, when we get to our tabletop, we're going to find our alignment and make sure we're being safe in our bodies. So in your tabletop, you want to have your hands wide or fingers wide, pushing away from the mat, pushing in all of your fingertips in your palm, pushing into the ground. And you want to have your wrist in line with your elbow, in line with your shoulder, and your hips in line with your knee. Okay? And you can keep your feet, the tops of your feet flat on the ground, or you can curl your toes. So whatever feels good in your body. And if you find that you have too much pressure on your knees, feel free to bring a blanket and you can rest your knees on the blanket. And if you feel like it's too much pressure on your wrist, you can ball your fist up and you can keep your fist on this part, the flat part, to take some pressure off your wrist. So whatever feels good in your body, go ahead and find that in your tabletop. Moving slowly. And once you find that tabletop, we're going to go into a cat-cow. So on your inhale, we're going to inhale, allowing your chest and head to come forward, tail poking out, cow, pushing away from your mat. And on your exhale, arching your back, letting your head hang heavy, letting your pelvis tuck forward, cat. On your inhale, finding your cow, pushing away from your mat, poking your tail out, letting your chest come forward. And on your exhale, finding your cat, finding an arch in your back, letting your head hang heavy, allowing your tail to tuck in. And I invite you to find your cat-cow according to your own breath, finding your cow on your inhale and your cat on your exhale, moving slowly and listening to your body and making your syncing every breath with the movement. And I also want to put out a reminder that your child's pose is your resting pose. So if you ever feel like what we're doing is too much, feel free to go into your child's pose and find rest. And whenever you're ready, you feel like you found enough in your cat-cow, we're going to sink back into our child's pose by bringing our big toes together to touch. Knees as wide as the mat or as wide as you need them for your body. Hands extended out in front of you. We'll take an inhale and we'll sink back down into our child's pose. Letting your head rest on the mat. Remembering to breathe in your child's pose, finding your inhale and your exhale. And also noticing in your child's pose if on every exhale you can soften and sink deeper into your child's pose. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, we're going to inhale back up into our tabletop. Finding our tabletop once again. And if you would like, you can do another cat-cow in your tabletop. But from here, we'll find stillness. You'll inhale, and on your next exhale, you'll step your right foot back behind you, straight back behind you, landing on the ball of your right foot. And we'll just take a pause here for a second, still breathing in and out of our nose, pushing away from our mat, allowing our elbow and shoulders to be stacked above our wrist. Making sure we're not sinking into our arms and pushing away, finding that strength. And then we'll invite some, what are these? Like a thrust back and forth. So on your exhale, you're going to come back on the ball of your foot. And on your inhale, you'll push forward. So just finding a small movement here, inhaling forward. And exhale, pushing back. Finding that stretch in your right leg. making sure you're breathing. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness. And then on your next inhale, we're going to inhale that right foot off the ground, bringing it straight behind us, toes flexed towards the ground. And we're going to hold it here, making sure that your hips are pointing straight down to the ground. If your hips start to open up, you might have lifted your leg too high. So just noticing your alignment in your body. And on your next exhale, we'll drop that foot back down to the ground. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale it back up again. And we'll exhale, drop that foot back down to the ground. And let's go ahead and continue that a couple times at your own pace. So inhaling your foot up, toes flex down towards the ground. And exhale, bring your toes back down to the ground. Inhaling your foot up. And then exhaling, letting your toes drop back down. So continuing that movement according to your own breath. Pushing away from the mat, finding a steady, solid base. Good job. And let's do that together one more time. Inhale our foot up, and then exhale, drop those toes back down to the ground. We're going to bring that knee back in. Big toes together to touch, knees as wide as the mat, sinking back down into our child's pose. Just building a little bit of heat in our bodies. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale back up into our tabletop. And from our tabletop, we're going to step that right foot back again, just like we did before. And we'll find that pulse back and forth. So inhaling forward, exhaling back, inhaling forward, exhaling back. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale that back foot up again, toes flexed down towards the ground, legs straight out behind us. And on your exhale, you're going to bring your knee in like you're trying to bring your knee to touch your nose or your forehead, curling your back. So inhaling, letting your leg extend. And on the exhale, you're going to bring your knee in like you're trying to touch your head with your knee. And exhale, or inhale, extend. So doing that according to your own breath, extending your leg out on the inhale. And on the exhale, bring your knee in. Making sure we're keeping our core tight, pushing away from the mat. And feel free to come out of this anytime you're ready to go back into your child's pose. Let's do one more together. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curling our back, bringing our knee in. And we'll exhale, extend again. And let our foot come back down to the mat. Bringing our knee to the mat. Big toes together to touch. Finding our child's pose again. And while we're in our child's pose, since we've been on our wrist, I invite you to roll your wrist out in front of you, rolling your wrist in one direction, and maybe you roll them in the opposite direction. And when you're ready, we'll push back up into our tabletop again. Finding our tabletop, and this time we're going to step our right foot back again, landing on the ball of our right foot, and we're going to prepare for a side balancing pose, side plank maybe. So we're going to drop that right heel down on the ground, letting our right toes face the long edge of our mat, okay? And then we're going to take our left hand, making sure we're finding a solid base with our shoulders in line with our elbow, in line with our wrist. And you can keep your left toes, the top of your foot, you can keep that flat on the ground, or you can curl your toes, whatever feels, if you guys can see me, like that or like that. So we're going to get ready to open up for our side plank, a modified side plank. So finding a solid base, not putting all the weight in our hand. We want to make sure we're putting some weight in our feet too. And once you find your base, you're going to take that right hand and slowly inhale, letting that right hand reach up towards the sky. And once you get there, making sure your pelvis is tucked forward, chest out, open chest, hands towards the sky. You can look straight ahead, or you can gaze up at your right hand in the sky. Noticing the space between your right shoulder and your ears. And remembering to breathe, letting your breath anchor you down to the ground and help you find your balance. Good job. And when you're ready, we'll inhale that right hand back down to the ground. Keeping our right foot extended behind us, we're going to lift it. Inhale, lift it back up off the ground. And on your exhale, we're going to cross that right leg over your left leg. Like that. Landing on the ball of your right foot. And then you can look over at your right foot. Remembering to breathe, inhaling and exhaling. And on your next inhale, we're going to inhale our foot back up straight behind us and exhale it back down. Bring our knees back down to the mat. Big toes together to touch. Back into our child's pose. And once again, while you're in your child's pose, feel free to roll your wrist out. And when you're ready, we'll inhale back up into our tabletop. And we'll do everything we just did on the opposite side. So your next inhale, we're going to inhale and step our left foot back, landing on the ball of our left foot. And we'll find a pulse moving back and forth with our left foot extended behind us, landing on the ball of our foot. We'll inhale forward and exhale, come back, inhale forward, and then we'll exhale, come back. Just finding a gentle pulse, finding that stretch in your left leg. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness, still with our left foot extended behind us. And on your inhale, we'll inhale that left foot up straight behind us, left toes flex towards the ground, pushing away from our mat. And if you find your hips opening up towards the side of the room, you may have lifted your leg up too high. Or you might not have to lift your leg at all, whatever feels good in your body, but we want to keep our hips in line with the ground, pointing straight down at our yoga mat. Finding that inhale and that exhale. And on your next exhale, we're going to drop your foot back down to the mat. And we'll inhale, bring that foot back up. And exhale, drop it down to the mat. So finding that movement according to your own breath, inhaling your foot up or your leg up, toes flexed towards the ground. Exhale, dropping your toes back down to the ground. Inhale your leg up and exhaling down, doing that according to your own breath and knowing that you can find your child's pose whenever you're ready. Good job. You all are doing so great. I can't see you, but I know it. And I know everyone is listening to their bodies and putting themselves first. And we'll do one more together. Inhale that left foot up, left leg up. And we'll exhale it back down. And then we'll bring our knee back down to the mat. Big toes together to touch. Knees as wide as the mat or as wide as you need them. And we'll sink back into our child's pose. And when you're ready, we'll inhale back up to our tabletop. And then we'll exhale, bringing that left foot back behind us again, extending that left foot, letting our landing on the ball of our left foot. And we'll inhale, extending that leg behind us, toes flexed towards the ground. On the exhale, we'll bend our knee, arch our back, like we're trying to bring our knee to touch our nose or touch our forehead. Inhale, extending that left leg behind us, toes flexed towards the ground. And exhale, bending our knee. So continuing that movement according to your own breath. Exhaling and bending and extending on your inhale. And also, if you are in here, feel free to like the video. That helps circulate our practice around the YouTube platform. And let's find one more together. We'll extend that left leg behind us. Exhale, bring our knee in. And we'll just drop our knee back down to the ground. Bring our big toes together to touch. And then we'll exhale, sinking down into our child's pose. And while we're in our child's pose, we just want to make sure we're checking in with our bodies and our breathing. So remembering to inhale and exhale. And noticing with every exhale, if we can sink deeper into our child's pose. And when you're ready, we'll inhale back up into our tabletop. And that same balancing pose we found on the right side of our bodies, we'll find on the opposite side. So I'm going to turn around so you all, and I have my back to you all. But we'll go ahead and we'll extend that left foot back out again like we did before, landing on the ball of our left foot, making sure we have a solid base with our hands and our knees. And we're going to take that left foot, and on your exhale, you're going to turn your left foot, your toes to face the long edge of your mat. And when you found your solid base, making sure you're distributing your weight through your whole body, not just on your wrists, but in your feet too. We'll inhale that left hand up towards the sky, tucking our pelvis in, chest out and open, pushing away from our mat. You can gaze ahead or you can gaze up at your left hand, letting your breath be the anchor that keeps you stable. Good job. And when you're ready, we'll exhale that left hand back down to the ground. Bring that right knee, oh, not yet, I'm sorry. We'll exhale back down to the ground, and we'll take that left foot and cross it over our right leg. And you can feel free to look over at your left foot behind you. Finding your inhale and your exhale in this side body stretch. And now, on your next exhale, we'll bring your knee back to the mat. Big toes together to touch. Knees as wide as the mat. And we'll exhale back down into our child's pose once again. And from your child's pose, moving slowly, listening to your body, we're going to lay on our stomachs. So however you need to get there. For me, I'm going to push up into a tabletop. And then I'm just going to slowly lower myself down onto my mat, laying flat on my stomach. And once you find yourself there, you're going to stack your forearms on top of one another and allow your forehead to rest on your forearms. And once you get here, I invite you to find your breath, your inhale and your exhale. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale and bend our knees, letting our feet come up towards the sky. And we'll exhale, letting your feet drop down to one side. Inhaling your feet back to center. And then exhale, letting your feet drop down to another side. So finding a gentle sway in our feet from side to side, but syncing it with our breath. So exhaling, letting our legs drop to one side. Inhaling to center, and exhaling, letting our legs drop to the opposite. Inhaling to center. So finding that gentle sway. And then when you're ready, you'll find stillness with our feet towards the sky, and we'll exhale our feet back down to the ground. And on your next inhale, you're going to lift your right foot up off the ground behind you. And on your exhale, you're going to drop your foot back down to the ground, letting your toes face the long edge of your mat, landing on the inside of your right foot. So the inside of your right foot should be resting on the ground now, with your toes facing the long side of your mat. And we'll find our breath, finding your inhale, and on your exhale, you're going to slowly glide your knee up the mat like you're trying to bring your knee to touch your elbow. And we'll hold here for a minute. Finding our inhale and our exhale. And noticing where we can soften in this pose. Are you holding any tension in your toes, in your hands? Notice where you can soften. And allow yourself to soften with every exhale. Remembering to breathe, inhaling and exhaling. And when you're ready, for your next exhale, we're going to exhale and slide our foot back down the mat. Bringing our foot back in to meet our other, laying flat on the mat. And when you're ready, we'll inhale our feet up, bending our knees. And we'll find that gentle sway again, exhaling our feet to one side, inhaling the center, exhaling to the opposite side, inhaling the center. So finding that gentle sway according to your own breath. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness with our feet in the center. And we'll exhale our feet back down to the mat. And we'll inhale, lifting our left foot up off the mat. And on the exhale, we'll drop our left foot back down to the ground, landing on the inside of our foot, letting our left toes face the long edge of our mat. We'll take an inhale together, and on the exhale, we'll slide our left knee up the mat like we're trying to bring our left knee to touch our left elbow. Now your left knee is probably not going to touch your left elbow, but we just want to bring it in that direction. And when you get there, finding your breath, your inhale and your exhale. And noticing what you can let go of. Noticing if you can soften with every exhale. And when you're ready, on your next exhale, we'll exhale and slide our foot back down the mat. Bring our left foot back in to meet our right foot, laying flat on the mat. And we'll take another inhale, bending our knees, bringing our feet towards the sky. And we'll exhale, letting our legs fall one side. Inhaling to center. Exhale, letting our legs fall to the opposite. Finding that gentle sway according to your own breath, moving slow, moving with intention, and listening to your body. And when you're ready, we'll find our knees back in a neutral position and we'll exhale our feet back down to the ground. So we're going to prepare for our final resting pose. So if you would like, you can stay on your stomach, or you can find your way to your back by rolling over. So whatever final resting pose feels good in your body right now for your practice, I invite you to move slowly to find your final resting pose. For me, I think I'm just going to turn over on my back, moving slowly. Once you find your final resting pose, if you are on your back, feel free to take up space, extending your arms out beside you, legs wide. Find whatever feels good for you in your body. And we're going to find final resting pose. I say for about, we'll do 5 minutes. We'll see how that goes. And then I'll bring my voice back into the space when it's time for us to move on and close out our practice together. preparing to come back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, rolling out your wrist, and swing your ankles from side to side. Bringing gentle movement back into your body. And we're going to slowly prepare to come up into a seat. So on your next inhale, we're going to inhale our right arm up overhead, allowing our right arm to rest on the mat. And we'll inhale our right knee, bending our right knee, landing on our right foot. And on your exhale, you're going to slowly roll over, landing on the right side of your body. Finding the fetal position with your head resting on your right arm. And using your left hand and your right hand, you're going to slowly push yourself back up into a seat, letting your head be the last thing to come up. So moving slowly, moving with intention, allowing your head to be the last thing that comes up. And we'll find a comfortable seat together. So once you find your comfortable seat, we'll inhale our arms up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll let our arms drop down beside us. Inhale our arms up overhead again. And on the exhale, we'll drop our hands back down to the ground. And this time we'll inhale our hands up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll forward fold any amount, letting your head hang heavy in your forward fold. Finding your breath, inhaling and exhaling. And on your next inhale, we'll slowly walk your hands back up to meet your body, coming back into an upright position. And we'll bring our hands together in prayer pose. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. This was a grounded flow for stability and balance. So I hope that this practice helped you in any way possible. And if you do feel like this practice was of any assistance to you, please feel free to like the video. Please feel free to share it with your communities. And I have plenty other practices on my Yoga with Mish tab, so please feel free to check those out. Like, subscribe, comment, and thank you so much for joining me for tonight's practice. And we'll take one more inhale together, and we'll exhale, letting our hands drop down into our lap. So thank you all so much for practicing with me today, and I hope you all sleep well tonight. Have a good night. Don't forget to like the video, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.